But let's head now to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. Always love being joined by our next guest, our man, Derrick Gunn. Gunner, what's going on, man? Good morning.
Morning. How you guys doing today?
We are doing great. Obviously celebrating the big news yesterday, Saquon Barkley, the 2-year extension, making him the highest-paid running back in the history of the NFL. Before we get into the story of Howie Roseman, I'd love to just get your reaction to that news that broke yesterday that I think caught the whole NFL world by storm.
Well, it's typical Howie. When he identifies a player that has done exceedingly well for the team, and he identifies a player that can help them to continuously get to where they want to go in the future, he jumps on it. And I'm sure there's a lot of running backs around the NFL that are standing up and giving Howie a standing ovation because, let's face it wasn't that long ago that the NFL that the running back financially was a forgotten entity in the NFL. They were near the bottom of the barrel in terms of getting paid. But you see what happened this past year. There were 3 running backs that changed teams and changed the complexion of those teams' running games. Obviously, Saquon was one. Derrick Henry going to Baltimore 2, and then Josh Jacobs going to Green Bay, number 3, and they all have phenomenal seasons. So, Howie does what Howie does. Howie wants to keep this team relevant for a long time. You look at the offensive line. That offensive line is intact for a few more years. The quarterback is here for a few more years. The wide receivers got extensions. They're here a few more years. And so Howie felt, obviously, the final cog to making his team an upper echelon team once again in the National Football League was securing the longevity of Saquon Barkley. And, when it comes to moving numbers, and Howie is the best magician in the NFL in terms of moving numbers and making things work for that organization. And on top of that, by sending, I think by signing Saquon to this extension, it sends a definitive message to players around the NFL that if you come here and you excel for us, you will be paid handsomely. And I guarantee you there's a lot of players and a lot of players' agents who want their clients, and those players want to play for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Now, you know this locker room well. Let's talk about what this does for guys already in-house. What type of message does this send to other players on the team when you see Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, this organization, reward Saquon Barkley in this way?
They are committed to being an excellent team and above the rest, and that this Super Bowl that they just won is not going to be a fly-by-night thing. You look at how many years it took them to get back in NFL prominence and hoisting that Lombardi Trophy after the 2017 season, basically the players in that locker room realize we have something special here. And, you look around the locker room, and most of the key players, especially in offense, are going to be with this team through 2025 and beyond.
So, Derrick, it wasn't that long ago where Howie Roseman was catching a lot of heat from Eagles fans, right? Talking about how they would like to move on. I brought this up earlier in the show. I found a poll on Twitter from 2021 where 93% of Eagles fans voted yes to firing Howie Roseman. All right, that was 4 years ago. And since then, they've been to 2 Super Bowls. They won one. Mel Kiper said that Howie Roseman should be given a gold jacket now to go into Canton. What has changed? You've been around this team for years. So what has changed for Howie Roseman where he went from the high of winning the Super Bowl to the low of people wanting him fired to now being considered the best GM in football?
Howie, a few years, realized that a lot of times he's not the smartest guy in the room, and he openly admitted that. He felt he had to do a better job listening to people on the outside, listening to his scouts, a better job of listening to Jeffrey Lurie. And it all started when Jeffrey Lurie a few years ago said, why aren't we drafting more of these guys from the SEC? And he told me a story about how even his grandfather said at one point, hey, why aren't you drafting more of these guys from the SEC? So it starts with Howie admitting that I have growth. I have a room to grow into this role. As good as he could be, he still had room to grow, and he did that. And look at his last 3 drafts. There's 11 or 12 players from the last 3 drafts that were significant contributors to their success this year. And and these players are still on their rookie contracts for the most part. So, it's easy for us once we get to a certain point in life to say we know everything. But it takes an even bigger person to admit, you know what, I don't know everything. And when you stop learning is when you become stagnant. And Howie basically has been learning. And he hasn't stopped learning. He's still learning. But he's at the top of his profession right now. There's nobody in the game better at what he does than Howie Roseman right now.
Now, I know the organization can never take a day off because there's always work to be done with the way the NFL season works. But the fan base, are we at a point with the way Howie Roseman conducts his business where we can kind of kick our feet up and say we don't really have any worries for the foreseeable future?
Well, you never look at it like that because you know how difficult it is to get back to that pinnacle of perfection again. No, you take it 1 year at a time. Look at how many teams rise from the ashes and then fall the next season. You look at the percentages of how many teams get to a Super Bowl, whether you win or lose, and how difficult it is to get back to that Super Bowl again. So no, this organization is never going to rest. Howie's wheels are always spinning. There are over $26 million in cap space positively right now. I can't wait to see what he does with that. I do know that they have inquired about the Myles Garrett situation, but Cleveland wants a whole lot, and that's understandable. It has to be the right fit for this organization in terms of finances, in terms of how the future of this organization and this roster is constructed. They won a Super Bowl without a Myles Garrett. You get a Myles Garrett in here, obviously that enhances the probability of getting back again. But Howie's looking at a lot of things. Zach Baum is a big priority with this team. And when you win a Super Bowl, obviously a lot of people come knocking at your door for your players, and it drives up the cost. So therefore, you have to figure out, can we get this as well as get this and make this thing work without putting ourselves in cap hell?
Now, I can't let you go without asking about BG. I'm not going to ask about what his decision may be, but I will ask you this. How much did, A, being able to play in the Super Bowl because of the injury that he suffered during the regular season mean to him? And B, how much did it mean that he could be walking off into the sunset knowing that he won a Lombardi trophy at the end?
It's funny because we text back and forth, and he retore that tricep in the Super Bowl, so he had another surgery on that. And I asked him, I said, "Are you done?" He said, "I don't know." So at this stage, he's approaching 37 in April. He doesn't know. His body feels good, his mind feels good, and he feels he can be productive. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. He has his money. He has everything that you would want as a professional athlete at this stage of his career. But to me, from what I've gathered from him, juice is fired, has been doused. So I'm not saying.
We're losing you a little bit, D-God.
Yeah, D-God, we're losing you. Is there a clear space? Because I got to hear this. You're cutting in and out at the wrong time.
All right. You have me now? You got me now?
Yeah, we got you now. So how's he feeling?
Okay, so I don't think his competitive juices, the fires in his competitive juices have been doused yet. He's got 2 rings. He's got his money. He's gotten everything you want. He's played for an organization, for a defensive lineman, longer than most guys could ever imagine. He's approaching 37 years old in April. I don't think he's completely of the mindset right now that he's done. He's weighing all his options, talking to his wife, talking to his agent, and he's getting a feel for it. So I'm on the fence. I'm at 50-50 right now. Normally I have a better gauge with Brandon in terms of what he wants to do, what he's thinking. He's keeping this stuff close to the vest in terms of how he's proceeding in 2025 as we sit here today.
And you're saying he retore the tricep during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the ligament he retore. He was sitting courtside at a Sixers game a few weeks ago. And I said, "Dude, what is this?" And he said he retore it, and he had another surgery on it during the Super Bowl.
And he played through that in the Super Bowl after just coming back from it.
Absolutely. And think about how soon he came back, how quickly he came back when this was supposed to be a 4 to 6 month rehab. And look at how quickly he came back to get his one moment in the sun. And when did he play? Like 13 snaps in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but he was impactful. I saw him beating the guy off the edge.
Exactly. And he retore that thing again. So, I don't know how much that's going to weigh into him making that decision as well.
But still, that's an amazing story. Gunnar, listen, I always love having you on, man. It's been a blast talking to you over the years. We appreciate you taking the time coming on today, and whatever you're doing at the house, just make sure you wear your proper your goggles, hard hat. Make sure you take care of yourself. All safety precautions.
I appreciate it, brother. Hey, anytime for you guys, man.
You're the man. There he is, Derrick Gunn on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. Unless I've missed something, that's the first time I heard that Brandon Graham retore the tricep.
They had a dude with the back surgery needed, Landon Dickerson lower body injury. You had Nolan Smith with a torn triceps, Brandon Graham with a torn triceps. All this happening while these guys played through in the Super Bowl and beat the Chiefs, hanging 40 on.
And I know he wore the wrap at the Sixers game the other day, but I didn't know it was because he got surgery again. I don't know if we just got news or if somebody has reported that before, but that's the first time I'm hearing of it.
These are some tough, guys going out there and playing through all this stuff and playing like that. That Eagles team, man, we're going to remember that for the rest of our lives.
That's amazing.
Hey, guys, it's Connor Thomas from Kincade and Salciunas. Thanks so much for checking out our most recent interview with ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter. If you want more Shefty content, click up here and make sure you're subscribing to the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube page for more great content.